Hey there guys, it's Jordan here from Forced Fable. Today, I'm going to be making a little bit of a different video than we usually put out here on this channel. So as you may or may not have seen, just yesterday there was a brand new trailer released for the upcoming game Borderlands the pre-sequel. I'm a huge fan of Borderlands personally, so when I saw this video, I was going all into it. I was looking at it, I was paying attention to all these little details, looking for new features being shown off and everything. And then of course, at the very end of the video, if you've already seen the trailer, you know what I'm talking about. But Gearbox and 2K Australia give the release date of the game, which is October 14th, 2014. And I'll talk about that a little more later after we get through the rest of this trailer. But basically what I'm going to be doing is going through the trailer. I'm going to be pausing, rewinding, going frame by frame to basically break down everything that's here. If you watch the trailer, which I'll link to right here, you already know that everything in this trailer just kind of flashes by really quickly. It goes by. It's pretty easy to miss stuff if you're not paying really close attention, and even if you don't pause the video. So basically, this video is going to serve to help you guys make sense of what exactly is in this video. If I miss anything, make sure you guys comment down below, or if I'm, interpreting something in a wrong way, or, my facts aren't completely correct, make sure to correct me. I mean, I'm not going to be offended or anything like that, so make sure to do that down below. So, all that said, I'll stop my blabber and we can get right into this video breakdown of the Borderlands, the pre-sequel trailer. So, as you see here, in case you didn't know already, the trailer may contain content that's inappropriate for children. Alright, so as you can see here, 2K Presents, 2K Australia, and Gearbox Software, they're working together. In case you didn't know that, Gearbox is busy working on some other IP, maybe Borderlands 3, maybe some other game that we don't know about yet. But they've kind of handed the reins over to this other studio in Australia, so if you've seen other material for the pre-sequel and you've heard a lot of Australian voices, that's why. If you guys know Gearbox's past, when they've kind of handed off games to other studios. A big example is Aliens, Colonial Marines, I believe it was called. That was a pretty big flop. So they kind of have a history of handing things off to lesser studios and them going bad. So Gearbox is still working really closely with 2K Australia, so I don't think we're going to have anything to worry about here. But getting back to the trailer, so we're floating through space. We see, of course, everybody's favorite little annoying piece of crap robot, Claptrap. He's floating there. We can kind of see in the background there, looks to be either Pandora or a moon. I don't really know what it is because right here we have the Hyperion moon base, but it doesn't look to be attached to anything. So I don't know if the celestial body in the background is the moon or Pandora or whatever. Here in the foreground we got Claptrap, and you can see kind of as he's rotating around in 0G, you can kind of see that his right arm is a little messed up, as I'm highlighting right there. I don't know what's going on there. At first I thought it might just be a trick of the camera, but it looks, pretty screwed up in comparison to this arm, for instance, where he actually has a hand. So, really minor detail. It's probably nothing, but it's kind of interesting that would really even make it in. So I guess we'll see, what that means when the game comes out. Alright, and of course here we have everyone's favorite villain, the infamous Handsome Jack. Now, Borderlands the pre-sequel takes place after the first game and before the second game, so it's before the sequel, the pre-sequel, you get it. Now, between the first and the second games, Borderlands and Borderlands 2, there was a span of 5 years. So, Borderlands the pre-sequel kind of tells the tale of how Handsome Jack kind of rose to prominence, how he became evil, kind of what he was up to between the two games. And we probably will get some insight into his past and everything like that. And here, Handsome Jack turns around, and this frame right here is, it has a lot of really important details that, the trailer doesn't focus on at all. Namely, Handsome Jack's mask is nowhere to be found. So this is what Jack looks like underneath the mask, or at least looked like at one point in time. For those of you who have finished Borderlands 2, you probably know what I'm talking about. This isn't really what he looks like. No spoilers. And then he looks decidedly younger as well. Like something about his face just looked kind of different, like narrower, less wrinkles, something like that. I don't really know what's going on here, but pretty big and important detail here that they just don't absolutely talk about at all. All right, here we have one of the first, the first of the four playable characters. This guy is Wilhelm the Enforcer. Now, for those of you who have played Borderlands 2, you know that Wilhelm is in the game as one of the first bosses that you fight. But in that game, he's like this huge, hulking, robotic-looking badass type thing. Here, obviously, he's not in that form yet. So the cool thing about Wilhelm, and y'all talk about this more later when we see his skill tree, is that certain skills actually give him cybernetic enhancements, and that kind of tells the story of how he went from the guy we see here to the hulking, like, meched out, basically not human thing that we fought in Borderlands 2. And it's actually, like, it's been explained by the devs as he has an obsession. Like, some people have an obsession with plastic surgery. Wilhelm gets an obsession with having cybernetic implants, and we can kind of see the first of those right there in his eye, as you can see in that in the highlighted area there. All right, so we'll back this up a little bit and just keep going. All right, now here's the next of the four playable characters. This is actually called, her name's Nisha, and she's called the Lawbringer. Now, she was also known as the Sheriff in Borderlands 2, and she, I don't know if she is right now, or if, you know, whatever, but during Borderlands 2, she was actually Handsome Jack's girlfriend, so we'll probably see, you know, how that kind of came to be in the pre-sequel. But we actually don't know a whole lot about Nisha in comparison to some of the other characters. So, for example, we know Athena, another character. We know her action skill. We know Wilhelm's action skill. We don't really know Nisha's, and we don't really know any of her, you know, details besides just what she looks like, basically. But we do know, and as you can't really see it here, but you can really, you know, it's really heavily implied that she's holding two guns at the same time, which is representative of the only other character that's been able to do that in the Borderlands universe, at least in game, and that's Salvador the Gunzerker. Now, I don't think she's gunzerking. I don't think that's her skill at all, because if in most images you can see her holding two revolver pistols, and you'll actually see her doing that later in the video. So maybe, you know, her action skill has something to do with just specifically pistols, because she is kind of like that outlaw looking, like, gunplay type person, and you can see there on her shirt is actually a skull and crossed pistols. So, you know, there's clearly something indicating here that that's gonna be her action skill, but we just really don't know for sure. Now we're moving on. Here we have Athena. We've actually seen a lot about her. If you've seen other videos or previews for Borderlands, the pre-sequel, she actually popped up in Borderlands 1 in the General Knox DLC. But she's kind of, you know, gone rogue since then. She's working for Handsome Jack. As you can see here, this is her action skill. She has this thing right here. It's a shield, but it also doubles as a weapon. It's known as the Kinetic Aspis, and she throws it, you know, a la Captain America. She can pull it up, and it takes in damage, and then she can release it when her cooldown is up, or, you know, basically when her time on her skill runs out, she throws it, and it converts all the damage that it soaked up onto enemies. It's actually pretty sweet. You guys should check out some of the other videos where that's been featured. Now, here's our fourth and final character. You know, looking extremely inconspicuous. He's just rolling around with a gun. And this is really indicative of, you know, what we know about Claptrap in this game so far, and that we know nothing. We know he's here. We don't even know if it's the same Claptrap as in the other games for sure. Everybody assumes so, just because it's Claptrap. But we don't know his skill. We don't know how he can climb stairs. If you've played Borderlands 2, you understand what I'm talking about there. And that's obviously kind of a joke, but, you know, really, we don't know anything about Claptrap. And the devs are kind of doing that on purpose, because nobody really expected to see Claptrap as a playable character. So they want to know things about him, and they're just kind of keeping their lips closed. All right. And so now here kind of comes in the humor of the trailer, and it's kind of indicative, again, of that dubstep trailer from a couple years ago for Borderlands 2. It says, "Put on your Sunday best." And, you know, it's going along with the music. If you guys want to know what this song is, I'll actually link to it in the description. I had to Shazam it. I can't remember the title off the top of my head because it's a remix of something, but I'll put a link to that song down in the description if you guys are curious as to what it is. Now here, this is really interesting. This is obviously Mad Moxie. She doesn't look anything like she does in the other games. You know, in the other games, she's all like dolled up. She has this weird outfit on, this big hat and everything. You know, really doesn't look like that here. So that's telling me that, and she actually has a grease stain on her cheek there, so maybe she's kind of like serving the purpose of Scooter. You know, in Borderlands 2, we kind of hear about what she was up to between the two games, and she like went hillbilly or something at some point. So maybe we'll see more about that. But this screen is kind of indicating to me, at least, that she plays some sort of somewhat big role in this game. Now moving on. Here is a gentleman version of Claptrap. He kind of popped up in the first game. He's kind of really popular on the internet too, so it's kind of interesting to see him here, and I wonder what his role will be in the actual game. And now comes a shot of one of the enemies I'm assuming we'll fight on the moon of Pandora. I can't remember what the moon is named. You guys should correct me on that in the comments down below. But just like a magma rock monster. The trailer later on talks about fighting moon monsters, so I'm assuming that's all this is. And this right here is probably, you know, in the top 5 like most important, really underscored details of this trailer. This is obviously Lilith. Now, we haven't heard anything, to my knowledge at least, of the original Vault Hunters being in this game, or any of the Vault Hunters for that matter showing up in this game, because, you know, the 4 characters that you play as are working for Handsome Jack, so obviously they're not the Vault Hunters. Now, in Borderlands 2, you hear a lot about a fight between Handsome Jack's forces and the Vault Hunters in New Haven, the Fall of New Haven, if you guys know what that is. So, you know, there's been talk around the internet, on Reddit, things like that, that maybe there's a good chance that we'll actually be in that fight. Like, playing as Handsome Jack's lackeys, you fight the Vault Hunters of New Haven. So that'll be really interesting, and you know, it's obviously Lilith is a siren. If you've played Borderlands 2, you know how important that is in the Borderlands universe. So she'll probably be a big deal in this game. And now here's just kind of a joke. Bazillion just got, wait, we got this. Bazillion Diaster, yeah, anyway. This is kind of calling back to that trailer, the dubstep trailer for Borderlands 2. It's like Bazillion just got Bazillion Deer, or something like that. Anyway, now here's kind of moving on, a shot of, you know, we got a grenade flying in from one of the enemies here. You can see that guy right over there just threw it. We have a weapon that looks like it is made up of some new parts that we haven't seen in the Borderlands game before. So that's pretty interesting. Looks like to be just like an SMG. And of course we're just fighting like midget enemies. Now moving on to this next shot here. Now this is interesting. I mean, we know about this feature, but it's kind of showing it off really quickly. It's the ice elemental damage type, and it's coming out of a sniper. It looks like Maliwan sniper. And you can kind of see that it's ice damage by the really faint numbers in there. They're blue, and it's an ice explosion, obviously. Now, ice plays a really interesting role in this game, which I won't go into a whole lot of detail here. You guys can watch another video for that, because I gotta get through the rest of this trailer. But I'm actually looking forward to, you know, making use of this new elemental damage type. All right, now here, backing up, just some more moon monsters, and we actually, if you look closely, you actually see a beam weapon, which is brand new. Some Iridium guns. Iridian guns and some of those special guns from Borderlands 1 kind of had this capability, but not really specifically. It wasn't a specific gun type. And as you can see here, here's another gun like that. It's a beam rifle or laser weapon. I don't know what they're calling it, but you know, it's very clearly there. And then you can see up across the top of the screen, it looks like an enemy or a teammate is also using one. So it looks to be like these guns are going to be pretty popular in this game. Now we've got here, pretty interesting, really small detail, but we're seeing this view, this shot is from the view of Claptrap, which we haven't seen in any other trailers before, so that's kind of interesting. You can tell by, you know, just the reload animation, it's pretty clearly Claptrap's hand and arm. So once again, not giving away any details of, you know, what Claptrap's abilities could be. So the devs are keeping, you know, a pretty tight hold on that one. Now, you know, just kind of moving on, we're flashing through these screens real quickly, but as you can see, you know, from this shot here to this shot here to this shot here. All these weapons are different, and all the weapon manufacturers from Borderlands 2 are making a return. So TDR, Maliwan, etc., Jacobs, all those guys, they're coming back. Each weapon manufacturer is, maintaining its flavor. I feel like they're probably going to change that up somehow from Borderlands 2, to keep things fresh and add features. They just haven't really talked about it a whole lot as of yet. Now here's looks like an ice grenade going off, blowing these midget enemies away, and as you can kind of see, they just go flying. So that's kind of the low gravity of the pre-sequel at work here. It's going to factor into the gameplay in kind of like strategic ways they've talked about, and then it's also just going to kind of look cool. I mean, if you can blow people up and just literally send them flying, Alright, so moving on, we're just on the moon surface here. We've got a thing in the distance, a base. Not really anything important to note here. And there's just another instance of like those new weapon parts we haven't really seen before. Let's see here, more enemies. So here, they focused on this for some reason. So this gun actually, which it's really kind of a small detail you have to pay really close attention to tell, but this gun is apparently one of the legendaries in the Borderlands, the pre-sequel. We don't know what it's called, but we do know its ability. Aside from being Argyle, it's all Argyle and shit. Anyway, so we back up here, we look at the item card there. And we see that it has this ability called Moonshine, and that gives this gun, when equipped, it gives characters when equipping this gun a plus 5% chance of, finding rare loot dropped by enemies. So that's pretty cool. We kind of had that feature in Borderlands 2 with some of the relics, but I don't think it was really ever attached to a weapon. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't recall that myself. And then we got the flavor text there. We have the, this is obviously an ice weapon, as you can see there, so that's kind of what the ice elemental damage icon will look like. I don't think we've really seen that shown off at all. But then, just obviously the bandit manufacturer and the pistol images there are yellow or orange, so, that's, of course, indicating that this is a legendary weapon. And probably on purpose, the name of the gun is omitted at the top of the screen there, so obviously you can't see that. So they're kind of keeping this all under wraps. Alright, so here we have Athena. She looks to be floating somehow, possibly using a jetpack. You can see that character in the background using a jetpack, so maybe Athena is doing that right now too. The blue sphere that she's in is actually also kind of a feature of the game. It's, if I'm, not incorrect about what this sphere is in the game, it's like a sphere that has oxygen inside. Oxygen is a resource in the game that you can use, to use your jetpack. You can do like butt stomps, basically, and then as you're running around, it's slowly decreasing. And for those of you who think that might be annoying, the devs have already said they've kind of, they recognize that they're not going to make it, something that hinders being able to play the game. And I'm sure by the time you get to max level or whatever, you're not, oxygen's going to be the least of your worries. You're not going to have to worry about it at all because you can upgrade your loot enough. Alright, so kind of moving on here. We kind of see these the physics effects at work here. This is most likely done, filmed, if I had to guess, on PC using an NVIDIA graphics card, because the PC version of Borderlands 2 had these extra features where you can enable, if you had a GeForce graphics card, you can enable all these extra features and make the game look awesome. So, if I had to take a guess, I'd say all these particle effects and just floating debris and everything here are only going to really be showing up on the PC version, unfortunately, because I know I play on Xbox. I know lots of other people do too. But if they do show up on the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions, hey, that'd be pretty cool if you ask me. All right, so we got low gravity. We've been seeing that kind of throughout. Here's a character jumping up a ledge. So platforming. Developers have kind of talked that verticality is going to be a big thing here. Because of the low gravity, you can jump really high and really far. Now we've got one of those moon monsters, but this one looks to have armor. So that's pretty interesting. Maybe this is like a boss character. It looks like it has luggage attached to it somehow, or like knapsacks. So maybe this is like a mount for a boss or something like that. Oh, and actually, if you can see, yeah, right there, we have somebody riding this. So either this is like a badass enemy or a boss, I would guess. So we've got crazy new vehicles. So really cool thing that we haven't seen shown off a whole lot in one of the previews that I watched on IGN. You kind of saw this, but you didn't see people ride it. So this just looks to be a hover bike. And it can obviously shoot projectiles too. It looks to be like an ice missile there. So we're just going to keep going. Moon monsters, you know, there's another shot at a different kind of moon monster. It looks kind of like a triceratops sort of monster to me. I don't know. Now this is, you know, showing off the enemies. This isn't going to be piloted by player characters, I wouldn't guess. Maybe if we can have flying vehicles, that'd be awesome. But flying vehicles made an appearance in Borderlands 2 in the form of the buzzards and I think a couple other vehicles. But you know, just showing that those are making a return. Let's keep going. Alright, so this is a really interesting thing to note. So we are shown basically one entire section of Athena's skill tree. So you know, we're moving along here. We just have some basic stuff. Adds health regen, adds damage resistance, absorbs additional energy, lengthens the duration. Then we have kind of on one of her game-changing skills, as they called it for Borderlands 2, we have Crausis, so melee attacks while holding the Aspis will damage and knock the enemy back with explosive force. And now I've kind of heard murmuring that knockback effects are kind of making a return in this game, and that would kind of make sense because this is a zero-gravity environment. So could you just imagine if you punch an enemy in the face and he gets knocked back and he literally just goes flying because of the lack of gravity. Alright, so let's go here. Now, Prismatic Aegis, or Aegis, I don't know. The Aspis now absorbs elemental damage types, and it does that, you know, the elemental damage together upon utilization of the Aspis. Real quick, it jumps down here, so this one is called Clear. When thrown, the Aspis explosion grants second wind to friends within range. In addition, improves damage bonus and fight for your life. Now this, you know, is indicating, and as you can see by, you know, the health symbols there and the shields and everything, this third of Athena's skill trees or skills is actually the Phalanx skill tree. It seems to be kind of like building up her support capabilities, the healer, the character that just takes on a lot of damage. And then real at the bottom here you can see her capstone skill. It doesn't show it in this video, but that one in particular, because we've seen it in other videos, as you can see there, it kind of bounces from target to target, and I think you can hit up to 4 or 5 enemies in succession. Now, another interesting thing, we have not seen really Wilhelm's skill tree in any other video, and his is actually really interesting. Like I said before, certain skills of his grant him kind of cybernetic implants, and they start building him into that monster that we saw in Borderlands 2. So we'll just kind of go through these because these are mostly just like stat boosts and everything. So if we back up here, okay, so as you can see here on this skill, Power Fist, so you get a cyborg augmentation and it augments his arm. So as you can see, we'll see this in just a, yeah, right here. So when the player puts a skill or puts a point into that skill, you can see it activates it, and it changes his arm there, his left arm, or the arm on the right, if you're looking at it, you know, on the screen, changes pretty clearly to a robot arm. And then in addition, they also really quickly upgraded this skill down here, shock absorber, so that changes his legs, and as you can see there, they also change to kind of like that robotic look. And I don't think it shows off any other skills of his. For those of you who don't know, Wilhelm's action skill is releasing 2 drones called Wolf and Saint. And they kind of like, Saint sticks by him and heals him, and Wolf goes out and attacks people. And it's actually kind of cool because if you remember from the fight in Borderlands 2 with Wilhelm, he actually releases 2 drones, or 2 drones at least, and so they're kind of subtly indicating that, you know, those drones were actually with him in Borderlands 2, and now you get to use them. Alright, and so now comes the weird part of the video. I don't really understand this, but a moon dance break brought to us by Harmonix, of all people. So maybe Harmonix has something to do with this game. Maybe it's just the trailer, maybe I'm just completely missing something here. Let me know what you guys think about this part and harmonics being involved down in the comments down below. So now this is just kind of like a sizzle reel to end the trailer. You can see in the background there name for a possible location, and I thought that that letter there, that's the first one that's kind of blacked out, was an H, but if you look at the word in whole, it would seem to be a K, so it's called Darksiders. So I don't know what that is, but I'm sure we'll be able to get there. Now, really weird, if you look closely at Wilhelm's arm here, it looks like it's backwards, so maybe that's a graphical glitch that they just didn't catch or something, but it's kind of a little weird detail. Alright, so we got some new enemies here, some new like moon rack, and if you look right up at the top there, I didn't notice this last time I watched it, but it looks to be some sort of airborne enemy. Maybe that's actually a player up in that vehicle, so maybe we do have a jet of some sort, or maybe it's just a jet loader like we saw in Borderlands 2. Now here's just another shot at the hover bike that looks like players can drive. That character looks like it's Nisha, if I can see correctly. And now kind of moving on, just more beam weapons. Looks like this is a shotgun, so we have like beam shotguns, it looks like, so that's pretty cool. Now here's just a kind of action shot of all four of the characters together. So you got Athena over there on the right, Nisha in the foreground, Wilhelm in the background, and Claptrap on the left. And here's the other shot of Nisha kind of like spinning around her second revolver, like you can see her popping up there. So maybe that's her activating her skill, because you can see her hands down by her side here, and then she pulls it up to, you know, spin around the revolver. And then once again we have Claptrap looking oh so inconspicuous, not giving away any details whatsoever. Alright, so now the trailer's telling us to consult a doctor for you know, experiencing joy puke, which again is a callback to that Borderlands 2 trailer. And then if we back up here, we actually see another vehicle that'll make an appearance in the game. And this one, you know, it looks to be basically the same thing as the vehicles in Borderlands 1 and 2, but this is kind of just reshaped to be like a moon rover type thing. It doesn't look like there's anything special there. And then it talks about face lasers. It talks about Jovial Fear Pooping. And then there's another shot. It looks, I would take a guess that that's an enemy, like a boss that we have to take down. So that'll be kind of cool. Frown failure, because frown failure is always bad. Oh, and this actually is a really interesting detail. Goes by so quickly. You gotta just watch how quickly this screen goes by. All right, so as you can see, there's this heart thing here. And you're probably wondering, well, where's that coming from? Well, if we back up, you can see Claptrap right up there, kind of floating around. You see a muzzle, you know, a muzzle flare. He shoots, and it looks like they missed that shot. And then he shoots again, and then there's this explosion with a heart around this character. So I have no idea what that is. Maybe that's another, you know, player character, and it looks like there's a really small healing symbol right there. So maybe Claptrap can also heal enemies by shooting them. You know, maybe his skills are just messed up where he just does everything wrong, but then he gets bonuses from it. So like, you're not supposed to shoot your teammates, but if you do, you can heal them. And that wouldn't be unheard of, because we've seen that skill with a couple other characters throughout the Borderlands games. Now, or dance kittens. So if you experience those, seek a doctor's help. There's just another shot at a moon monster, and then of course right here is the thing that a lot of people were excited about, we're waiting to hear about, the release date for Borderlands, the pre-sequel, October 14th of this year. This video that I'm making right now is being released in June of 2014, so you know, it's right about 4 months away, a little over 4 months away. So I'm personally extremely excited. You know, I played the first two Borderlands games and loved them both. I already pre-ordered the pre-sequel. You know, so I'm looking forward to this. A lot of people are saying that you know, it's just more of the same. They're just gonna remake Borderlands 2, and they're charging us, you know, $60 or whatever for it. Even though we technically haven't seen a price tag, you know, I personally don't care because I love Borderlands so much that I'm going to buy it and I'm going to enjoy it. But I know a lot of people aren't really of that opinion. So what you guys should do is actually, if you feel really heavily one way or the other, you leave a comment down below arguing either for or against just the making of this game, what you think about it not being present on technically current gen consoles, so Xbox One and PS4. Just a lot of things like that. Just what you think about this trailer in general. If you thought it was funny, if you thought I just completely am like reading too much into this, or if I missed any details, if I'm interpreting things wrong, remembering things wrong, getting my facts wrong, just correct me. I won't be offended down below. But I'm personally extremely excited for this game. I cannot wait to play it. I'll definitely be making some videos for it for Forced Fable once it comes out. And so as you can see just in the background, we're just rolling through the trailer. And you can see from these screens, it just really quickly flashes through everything. So that's why this video took so long to break down, because there's so much happening. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a first video like this that we've done. If you guys liked it, let us know, so maybe we can make some more in the future. We'll do some more trailer breakdowns, analysis, things like that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to check out our other videos if you did. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and at forcefable.com, as well as on Tumblr, where we have more writing stuff, and then of course on twitch.tv, where we do a lot of game streaming, at least once a day, if not twice, or maybe even 3 times a day sometimes. So make sure to check us out on there, and of course subscribe to us on YouTube if you like our content and want to see more. But until next time, thank you guys once again for tuning in, and we will see you on our next video.